staff, guests, friends and family, and most importantly, the graduating class of 2009. This is good morning, family and friends in my native language. My name is Hailey and I am a proud member of the Nez Perce and Pit River tribe. The people I come from are strong people and have many strong values. Some of these values that I was raised on include taking care of one another, especially your family, and that you can get through anything that you set your mind to. But most importantly, that your attitude will dictate your life. I once heard a story about an old man named George. George was 87 years old and going blind, and had recently lost his wife of over 60 years. His family decided it was best to move him into a nursing home so he would not be lonely and he would receive the best of care. When George arrived, one of the young aides was taking him to his room, and while they were in the elevator, George exclaimed, "I love it here." The young aide, surprised and slightly baffled by what she just heard, as it is quite common to hear the opposite in these sorts of places, she added, "But you haven't even been to your room yet." And George replied merrily, "No, but I decided yesterday that I was going to love it here." This is such a simple yet difficult task to say that you love something never having experienced it before. But it is the decision and the mindset that will get you through it. It was George's choice to love that place that was going to get him through each day, just as it is your choice to love your life, never having experienced everything that is yet to come. I went to school from kindergarten through the 12th grade in a small school in the town of Lockwood, Idaho on the Nez Perce Reservation, or what we refer to as the Res. It was a very poor, rural school, but had some of the most dedicated teachers you will ever find. Many of the teachers that I had actually had been there when my parents were in school, and some had probably even seen 3 generations of the same family come through as students. So I grew up hearing that the education at my school was what many would call subpar or substandard. We were usually below average on standardized test scores, and the school offered very little, if any, advanced courses for the above-average students. The building we were in was condemned for being unsafe and littered with mold and ancient, to say the least. Yet we still had classes in this building because there were no resources to build a new facility. This was the only school I had ever thought of attending. However, some parents of my peers decided it was best for their children to attend school at other places that would better prepare them for the road ahead and provide them a better education. So with this, some of my classmates finished high school in different places, and unfortunately many of the classmates that I graduated with felt the need to hold themselves back from opportunities because of our education, with comments like, "Well, I just went to the res school, so I couldn't go to a big university," or "I didn't get accepted there because I'm not smart enough. Maybe I should have went to high school somewhere else." So it was sort of like this self-fulfilling prophecy where we were told we weren't very good or very smart, so many ended up believing it. I, however, chose not to believe the negative stereotypes. I chose to believe that I could succeed and that my education was as good as anyone else's. I started out at a smaller college close to home. And for anyone who's from a small town, you know that everyone knows everything about you in a small town, and it gets old really fast. Especially because people often dwell on the negative and absolutely love gossip. So I decided it was time for me to get away from the small town scene, and I thought I was capable of making the transition into a larger university. So I applied to Boise State University late in the spring of 2006 and was accepted and started here that fall. I thought it was going to be a lot more difficult than what I had seen before, and I was pretty intimidated because, again, allowing some of those negative comments to come back to me. I went to a small school on the res, so, maybe I wasn't as smart as the rest of the students at BSU. But I continued to do the best that I knew how and was not going to let myself be held back by negative comments and messages. And I had seen others before me from my community go to big universities and do big things for themselves, so I figured if they can do it, then so can I. 3 short years later, I'm standing before you today not allowing that mindset of I'm not good enough or I'm not smart enough to get the better of me. So I will say this about my high school experience and what it has done for me at BSU. Your education is what you make of it. Your attitude is everything. If you want to go to college and succeed, make up your mind to do it and you will. When I speak of having a positive attitude, I'm not just talking about education. This applies to your whole life. You can look at a bad day as if it will never get any better and be gloomy about it, or you can look at it as it is the storm before the rainbow. If BSU isn't ranked #1 for underwater basket weaving, but that's what you've gone to school for and that's what you want to do, then you'll do it. And if you're positive about it, you'll succeed. And if you get laid off from your job, which is unfortunately all too close to home for many Treasure Valley residents and others across the country, you can either look at it as the worst day of your life, or you can look at it as one door closed so that another can open. I'm not saying all of this because I think I am perfect by any means. I know sometimes it is almost impossible to see the positive in a bad situation. While here at BSU, it was my first time ever being away from my family on Christmas. I had to work Christmas Day and was going to drive home that night after work. I woke up Christmas morning feeling bad and lonely and had a lot of feelings of self-pity. It wasn't until I was watching the news later that day that they were showing all the volunteers for homeless shelters and community dinners for the homeless that I realized there's a lot of people out there that have it way worse than I do. So I should stop feeling sorry for myself and do what I can to help others. I want to share another story with you about an elderly lady named Pearl, who in her advanced age of 90 started to lose it all. From her teeth to her eyesight and her taste and her smell. One day Pearl looked in the mirror and thought of how much she had changed from when she was a beautiful young looker in her 20s and 30s. She glanced to the top of her head to find only 3 strands of hair. So she said, I think I'll wear my hair in a braid today. The following day, only 2 strands of hair were left. I guess I'll part it down the middle, she decided. The next day, you guessed it, only 1 strand of hair was left. So she decided on a ponytail. The day that Pearl woke up with no hair on her head, she exclaimed, "Woohoo! I don't have to fix my hair today!" So instead of sulking and dwelling on the fact that she was bald, Pearl found the positive in her situation and decided that's what she was going to focus on. You will always have this opportunity in your life. Will you see the glass as half empty or half full? I believe I am here because I have had a positive attitude and I saw that glass as half full. I definitely did not get here on my own, however. Like many of you sitting before me today, marking the end of your 2, 4, 7 or more year journey of hard work, long hours, sweat and tears, I've had a huge support system that I could not have made it here without. I would like to recognize first and foremost my parents, Mark and Vivian Wilson, for their unending love and support. Even if my request was to use their car for a couple of months while mine was getting fixed because it got wrecked, not once, but twice, they never hesitated. I would also like to recognize the rest of my family from home. My brother and my sister, my grandma, aunts and uncles, nieces and nephews, you are the reason that I have pushed through and made it to where I am today. And finally, I would like to thank my Boise family, my family away from home, without whom I probably would have gone crazy and been so lonely I might have just turned around and went back to the red. So to wrap things up, your attitude, again, is everything. It will dictate how you live and feel every single day. It will play a role in every decision in your life, no matter how big or small. The best thing of all is that your attitude is the only thing you have total control over. You can't control your genetics, and you can't control your kids. You can't control the weather. And no matter how hard you try, unfortunately, you can't control your significant others either. But you can always control your attitude in each and every instance. Sometimes we all need to be a little bit more like George and Pearl and decide that we're going to make the best of every situation, even if it means you're moving into a nursing home or going bald. So I will leave you with a quote by a man named John Wooden. Things turn out the best for the people who make the best of the way that things turn out. Thank you.